Okay, so our next presenter this morning is Hannah Pautz. Hannah lives in Muscatine and attends Muscatine High School. She's the daughter of Angela and Jeffrey Pautz. The title of her project is Given a Voice. Hannah?
A junior high, my name is Hannah Pautz, and this is my Herbert Hoover Uncommon Speech and Debate, Uncommon project, which is speech and debate. That was uncomfortable, and that is not uncommon. According to the National Social Anxiety Center, for 73% of the population, the fear of public speaking ranks above the fear of spiders, heights, and even death. Think of your public speaking experiences. Are they all positive? If you're like the majority, the major fear of public speaking is negative evaluation by others. Before I joined the speech and debate team, I included myself in that fearful majority. I didn't know how to convey my thoughts, ideas, or worries effectively. However, through the speech and debate program, I gained the skill of effective communication. It was this reason that pushed me to start the junior high speech and debate team, to give students in my community their voice through the skills gained in speech and debate. With that, let's try the introduction over again, shall we? My name is Hannah Pautz. I am a senior at Muscatine High School and a 3-time national speech and debate qualifier. I founded and am running a junior high speech and debate team because I saw the need for effective communication skills in my community and wanted to fill it. Let's jump in. The plan. That is actually a little misleading. There wasn't a plan. There were many. Each one worked until an unthought of obstacle surfaced and the plan crumbled. At which time came new brainstorms, new ideas, and new actions. We'll focus on the 2 main obstacles and the resulting actions. First, and perhaps the most obvious, is that I had never started a team before. So, I reached out to people who had. First was Mr. Chris Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman is the founder of the high school robotics team, which currently is related to the school district, but started out as a community-led project. In our discussion, he gave me a notebook full of ideas, some of which even came to fruition. Next, I reached out to the current high school speech and debate coaches. Mrs. Hilton and Ms. Zoller know how to run a team. They gave me inside tips and tricks of how to make middle schoolers feel comfortable and supported in an environment so they could bypass that negative evaluation by others. With these tips, tricks, and ideas, I was ready to start outreach when the second obstacle hit. COVID-19, the common obstacle across the uncommon students. How do you start a team where public speaking is the focus when it's not safe to hold public practices? The answer wasn't an easy one to find because there wasn't one workaround, one simple answer. What I ended up deciding upon was a bilateral plan for outreach, which includes self-made videos and Google Forms. First, I created an informational videos which the junior high English teachers pushed out to their students. I also had it put in the announcements for the week so that students could access it individually. Linked with this video was a Google form that students filled out individually. When all was said and done, this is what the data from that form looked like. There were 88 responses, with over half saying yes or maybe. To put that into perspective, the high school team has historically only had 11 members. This year, we only have 4. Just the addition of those 13 students who said yes is a 300% increase on the current high school team. With this encouraging data, I was ready to start implementing. Everything was in place, and implementation had 2 phases, the pilot and the program. Remember that notebook full of ideas? Well, one of them was to hold a pilot. It seemed so obvious once Mr. Hoffman had suggested it, but the idea had never occurred to me before. It proved vital to practice and work out kinks. My goals for the pilot were to gain technical proficiency, gauge interactions with junior high students, and gather feedback. I kept the pilot small. 2 8th grade students participated in the week-long conference with 3 sessions starting September 25th. There, they learned and practiced basic public speaking skills. The purpose of a pilot is to reveal flaws and strengths. So what were the flaws? I was not proficient at the technological aspect of holding a Zoom call. Up until that point, my participation in the service had only been as a participant, never a host. Learning how to admit, mute, and create breakout rooms was a learning curve. But the pilot supplied me with the opportunity to learn those skills. Aside from the technical difficulties, the pilot had encouraging results. I had prepared for the students to be quiet, nervous, and even a little non-responsive. This was not the case. Over the course of the week, the students freely volunteered their thoughts, ideas, and opinions. They were eager to improve their public speaking. And improve their public speaking skills, they did. Each session, we started with an exercise called The point of the game is to talk on a topic for as long as you can without saying, you guessed it, On our first session, neither student could talk for more than 30 seconds. By our last session, both of them talked for over 1.5 minutes unimpeded. They had improved their public speaking in just this short amount of time. The pilot was a success and was ready to start implementing. Our first session was held on October 5th, and 8 students came. Remember, that's a 200% increase on the current high school team. From there, we held practices every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Our Monday practices are for students interested in both speech and debate. Our Wednesday practices are specifically for students interested in speech, and our Friday practices are specifically for students interested in debate. In our first week, we watched informational videos and example videos from national winners so that they could get a better idea of what an event might look like. Our second week, we spent doing warm-up exercises. For speech students, this meant we played rounds of informational speaking. What this meant was a student had to pick a prop from their room and create a sales pitch for the rest of the students. But the catch was that they couldn't use the normal use for that item. This got them thinking on their feet and using their creativity, both skills of which are vital in speech events. For debate nights, we played rounds of spontaneous speaking. Spontaneous is an actual event that students can participate at the high school level. What this consists of is a student is given a prompt. They have 3 minutes to prepare, and then they give a 5-minute speech. Give you a sec to close that so you can see the screen. You can see most of it, so I'll continue on while he's working on that. But during these, they had the skill of identifying key aspects of a speech and then creating the structure for the speech around those key points and aspects. The picture you see is from our second Wednesday meeting. As you can see, I'm not the only one talking, which was my goal. Which brings us to the present. Where does the program go from here? I have 3 main goals to accomplish before the end of the school year. The first goal is to get the team school sponsorship. This has precedent in our community, as we heard from the robotics team that went from being a community organization to a school-sponsored event. This is vital for the second goal, to get membership in the National Speech and Debate Association. To get NSDA membership, a team must be school-sponsored. My last goal is to continue to promote the team in my community. The first step in this goal has already been accomplished by getting my name out and the word out for this community in 2 local newspapers, Discover Muscatine, and as you can see here, that's the article. This had encouraging results immediately. I had 2 students reach out wanting to join just from seeing this in the newspaper. I also had a private school in my community reach out wanting their students to be able to join in this amazing opportunity. I have one goal for the long term, for the team to not only continue, but also to prosper. To do this, I need a coach for when I'm gone. Admittedly, a lot of this goal is out of my control, but this is what I have done to make sure that the team will continue. I reached out to the high school speech and debate coaches, and after a long discussion, they agreed that they want to take this team on so that they can have a feeder team for the high school, but also get students young to help improve their public speaking skills. Now, getting them hired is out of my control and theirs. But whether this starts as a school-sponsored team or a community team for them, they want to take it on. Today, I've explained why I'm passionate about my project and why you should care about my project. But why would Herbert Hoover approve of my project? Herbert Hoover recognized that to accomplish his humanitarian goals, public speaking was key. He makes this clear in his memoirs where he wrote, "I returned in 1919 from several years abroad, including most of the years of World War I, steeped with ideas. Therefore, soon after my return, I began public speaking." Hoover recognized his goals and acted by public speaking. His life of public service mandated a life of public speaking. While the middle schoolers in my community may not go on to be the President of the United States, they will still need to participate in public conversation. Public discourse will be enhanced by more eloquent and prepared citizens. Herbert Hoover would have approved of my project because it strengthens community by strengthening the individual. Thank you. Yes?
If you have nervous or reluctant students, how are the challenges different between speech versus debate?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Most of the students who join are nervous because even if it's something they're interested in doing, it's scary talking in front of people, especially people that you don't know. So for our speech events, that tends to be students who are better at memorizing things because those events are scripted pieces. So that, I like to say speech events are synonymous with acting. That's more of an acting side of things, so if you feel more comfortable memorizing something and having other people's words that you can use, that's really great to help with their nerves. Whereas debate events, for students that are more comfortable using their own words or thinking on their feet in front of people, that can help diminish their nerve by making sure that they're using their own words. So that one is less scripted and more their own words, so depending on where they're comfortable either using scripted words or thinking on their feet, that's a really great distinction for helping them choose which side they would be on. So totally normal to feel anxious, but their specific skill sets can help decide which side they might want to be on. Yes?
So do you have, are they even? Do they pick to do them both, one or the other? Where do you get more people?
Yeah, I was actually really surprised and encouraged by the middle schoolers' interest, because at the high school team, we tend to have a lot more students interested in the speech side, whereas there was almost a perfect split in the middle school students for wanting to do speech and debate, and then we have 2 students that are interested in both speech and debate, which is kind of why we broke down the practices the way that we did, so that students that really, really like speech but aren't as interested in debate have a specific day dedicated to that. So we have a pretty even split of, when I say we had 8 students that first day, those Mondays are focused for both students, and so then each of those Wednesdays and Fridays we have about 4 to 5 people, which is a really great split and helps people feel comfortable, because if there are too many, you might not be the one that wants to step out and talk, and if there are too few people, you don't want to have to be talking the whole time. So it's a really great breakdown of students interested in the speech side and debate side, which I was really encouraged by. Yes?
I'm a real proponent of speech, and I've worked with that. And so I'm wondering, with your program, oh boy. I need some speech work, I think.
We all do.
I was wondering if between the, are there other junior highs? That's what I was trying. Are there other junior highs? Because I've been involved with high school mostly. Are there junior highs that you can have contests with and such?
When I was doing my research into if that was a possibility, I found out, so Iowa is split into 2 districts at the high school level, with Eastern Iowa, and then I think the other district is just called the Iowa district. And in Eastern Iowa, we don't have any middle schools that are also doing this, but in the other district, there has been precedent for a couple teams. I'm not sure how many there are this year, and our plans have been obviously affected by COVID-19 of not being able to have competitions, but my hope is in the future that we would be able to maybe cross paths with that other district and be able to let them compete with another team at the end of the year. The other opportunity is for once we get the National Speech and Debate Association membership, middle schoolers, it's kind of unique for them. They don't have to qualify to go to the nationals competition. They just have to sign up for it. And so that's a really, really amazing opportunity for them to get to compete because it's middle schoolers from all over the nation. This year we're actually really lucky that the competition is in Des Moines. In the past it's been in Florida or Texas, and this year was super lucky to be in Des Moines. So if stuff opens up by the end of the school year, my hope is that we'll be able to go to that competition. But if that's not the case, if they choose to go online, which is a possibility, there are other middle schoolers in Iowa.
I think it's wonderful. You're working with the middle schoolers, like the younger the better.
Exactly, yeah.
Terrific, thank you.
Yes.
2 comments, another question. Did you reach out to local civic clubs like Rotary, Lions, Kiwanis, and so on to get their support for your program in Muscatine?
That is something I haven't done yet, but that's what I want to include when in my third goal where I say continue to promote outreach. That's one of the sub aspects of that goal. So getting newspapers involved so that the community members can see it, but I also, that's part of that goal of promoting outreach is getting other members in my community interested in it. So that's one of the what I want to do by the end of this year.
Are you familiar with Alexander Clark Sr. and his court case for his daughter Susan?
I'm not.
Everybody in Muscatine should know, everybody in Iowa. Are you familiar with Brown versus State Board of Education Topeka?
Yes.
A similar case was brought by Alexander Clark Sr., 1868, 86 years before Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Chester Cole ruled for the court of Iowa Supreme Court that they weren't going to have segregated schools in Muscatine.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit aware of that with another case, Susan Clark. That's the Muscatine community has actually just gone down from 2 middle schools to 1 middle school. So if that's I don't know if that's the specific name of that case, but Susan Clark was that.
She was the daughter.
She was the daughter. Okay, yeah.
Just
So then
like
I am
Linda
familiar.
Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so our middle schoolers actually just went from 2 middle schools to 1 building, and we renamed our middle school Susan B. Clark School. And so, yeah,
I
that
think
was.
if you went to Rotary clubs and Kiwanis and so on and so forth, you could get a scholarship. That an annual competition
Mm-hmm.
that would award something on the order of whatever it costs to go to a state, either
Mm-hmm.
community college, all right, or on to a university.
Mm-hmm.
The last
Yeah.
one is a fun question. In these debates, do you support having fact checkers?
Yes, I do.
All right.
That's an interesting thing that's actually kind of changed at the high school level, where when I first started my freshman year, we weren't allowed to use internet, so you had to go in with all of your facts pre-done, and we had fact checkers in the form of judges, and so they would make sure that everything you were saying is true. But about my junior year, that changed so that now students are allowed to use internet, and so that's been an interesting transformation in the high school team of so now students can fact check. Of if you say something in a speech, they can immediately go and Google it and find out where your source is, if it's up to date. I think that's really important because if you're using information or statistics from 20 years ago, but there's a source that says the opposite thing that came out a month ago, I think it's really important to have the most available information present in the debate. So yeah, I think it's really important to have fact checkers available. Makes it more stressful, but.
Yeah, I have a quick clarification here. So you said the pilot program started in September. How long has the team been meeting, and what kind of growth have you seen, with maybe one person in particular? I know you kind of gave the example about, people saying less and that sort of stuff, but has there been one case where you've seen a lot of improvement within that time?
Yeah, so we started the official team on October 5th, and we've been holding consistent practices ever since then. I actually just had a practice with them last night
Okay.
where we were going over Congress stuff. But I think the big part of improvement that I've seen is in that example where I said the game. I did that in the pilot, but I've also done that with the actual team, and so that's across the board. All the students that have come have gotten better. And whether it's they feel more comfortable with the students present, or they are better at structuring their speeches now, so they don't have to say or like or and or any of those connecting words. And then growth in the team. With that newspaper article that was put out, I had 2 students that reached out that were interested, and both of them have come to this full week of practices and been interested. So it's not just that they've reached out and were interested, but that they acted upon it and they've been coming to practices. So that's what I also hope to promote by continuing to build that team. So in just this past week, we've had 2 people and hopefully to get more.
Great, sounds good.
If I have someone interested, it's not too late.
No, it's not too late.
Okay.
Yeah, not at all.
Right.
That's kind of how the high school team does it too, is if you need to join halfway through the year, we will get you caught up because we want to take everyone at any time that they are comfortable to join and improve their public speaking skills, because it's just such a vastly important skill.
Last comment.
Oh, yes.
Your title, Giving Voice, that for me was problematic. We don't give anybody a voice. They have a voice.
Yes.
So I'd like to offer a possible revision,
Please, yeah.
because it seems to me from everything you said today and how you've done it, developing a voice, learning to listen
Yeah, I really like that.
is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you. I will take it.
Good.